Hey, what's up guys? It's Instructional Skateboarding here, and today I have probably one of my favorite videos to make. It's unveiling or showing you guys my custom airbrush skateboard that I made for my grade 11 graphics final project of the year. We were basically allowed to do anything we wanted, and I decided to airbrush a skateboard I had laying around for like years, just a blank. It was really hard and everything, but I already had the deck and I wasn't doing anything with it, so I just decided to do that. I'm going to run you guys through the whole process and explain everything you see. So I already had the deck. I didn't need to do anything to that at all. The very first thing I did after I got the deck when I first started airbrushing is there was no stencil or anything. I just freehanded this whole section. I just did a solid white strip along the bottom, or filled in like this whole white section that you'll see. And I'll put a picture of that on screen now. The next thing that I did is I basically filled in this green ground. I made it a solid green. It's all the same color. It looks the same color in real life. It might not look completely all the same here. It might look a little bit textured and all that. And that's just because there's, a lot of lines running through the board and some little cracks and stuff, so it makes it look a little bit different color. But it's basically a solid lime green for ground. After that, I did the sky, and basically just did a whole big, huge area of blue for the sky. And yeah, like a nice sky blue that you would see on a really clear day. After that, I did the bushes, and you can see everything's in black marker or framed in by black marker / Sharpie, but I didn't do that until the very, very end on like the last day of the last hour. So originally I just did this, and this, and this, and this piece of the bushes here. There was no pipe here in the beginning, and there was no black marker. I'll put a picture of that on screen now, if I can find it. And then after I had the blue, the white, the green, and the bushes, I started to put in my Mario. So I did the brown layer all by itself. So that's, his shoes, his hair, part of his eye, and his mustache. If I can zoom in closer here, you can see that there's 3 parts to his eye. You have his pupil, which I did brown, the blue, which is the actual color of his eye blue, and then the white sort of surrounding area. When you look at it from farther away, it's really good, especially in real life. When you get in closer, you can see it's not extremely perfect, but in real life it looks really good actually. And every layer that you do, you have to do a separate color, and you have to do it with stencils. So for example, when I did the bushes, what I did is I got a piece of thin plastic, went in Photoshop and got the image that I want online, and then I traced around this part of the image in Photoshop, and I sent that to a machine which cut that out on the transparency, or basically the thin plastic, and I popped out those pieces out of the transparency, and I'd put it down. You tape off all your other sections so that the ink's only going to go through where you want it and nowhere else on the skateboard, and then you just airbrush it on. So like I said, for the bushes, I'd get my transparency, send it to the machine to cut this shape out in the plastic, pop them out so there's holes in the plastic, put it down, tape off everywhere, and yeah, and then you come with your green, and you go tss. When you get it airbrushed across, the ink will only go through in these bushes, and everything else is taped off so it doesn't get ink anywhere else. So that's, say, how I did the bushes. The same thing with the brown. I got the brown, went in Photoshop, photoshopped the areas out that I need, opened it up in another program on the computer, sent that to the computer to get my stencil, popped them out, and just placed it where I wanted, right dead center of the skateboard, and then I just taped off all my other sections, came with the brown, and just sprayed across to get my solid brown color. Next, I went to the jeans and I put in his jeans with blue. I added a little bit of black to the blue to make it darker than the sky, because you don't want it to just blend in with the sky, and you can see it's like a nice navy blue that you'd see on a pair of jeans. After that, I did the red. And the red was probably one of the best layers I did on the whole skateboard. You can see that everything is uniform color, super crisp edges, nothing was like bleeding. I got a little bit of bleeding here on the blue. That's when you get like overspray and it looks kind of watery. You see what I'm talking about? But the brown and red were two of my very best layers. And after the red, I put in the white. I did the actual Sharpie to make the gloves here look the way they do at the very end, but originally I just had his white hands and this cloud. The reason why this cloud looks a little bit different than all the others maybe is because I had to hand paint it on, and I had to hand paint on the white gloves because the airbrush wasn't working for me that day and it refused to put any ink through, and it was really clogged up. It made me really mad. After I had his gloves down, I just started kind of throwing in random things. I did the stars because the stars were going to be easy. The yellow was working really good for me that day, and I thought I was going to be able to nail the stars really nice and crisp because I just felt confident that day. So I put the stars in. You can see there's varying sizes and in different places all over the sky. I could have put, maybe one or two here, but I just decided not to and thought it would be cooler if they were all behind him. After that, I put in the yellow coin. The very first coins I did were actually these ones, and I had a lot of bleeding on them. They were pretty crappy, to be honest, but you can't really see that anymore. I'll explain. And then I did these ones. These coins came out a lot better and more uniform, I guess, in color. So I did 3 there, and then I did like a continuation of more on the bottom, but these ones obviously stick out further, as you can see. That was on purpose. After the coins and the stars had been put in place, I started to do the clouds. So what I did for the clouds was, got my stencil. Everything is basically stenciled except for the blue, white, and the green. So the coins, the stars, the red, the blue, the brown, the white, all that, everything that I could use a stencil for, and block off the areas where I didn't want ink to go through, and then just spray over top that stencil is what I did. So I took the stencil for the clouds, and I had one shape like this and one like this on the stencil, so you can see this cloud appears again here, it starts, you have it here, and so on and so forth, and then the other cloud that I had was just this white sort of thin oval. And so all I did for this is I would put the white one here. Well, they're all white, but okay, I would take the thin oval and I just place it here, tape off all my other sections. Now for the clouds, I actually didn't spray with the airbrush or use any white because all the white ink that I had throughout this project was really thick and chunky and it wouldn't go through the airbrush, and it was just really horrible. So all these clouds I actually hand painted on. This one's not that good though because these ones I used a different white, but besides this cloud right here, this one, this one, this one, that one, that one, and that one, and that one were all hand painted really well. The only parts of this project that were hand painted were the clouds and his gloves. Everything else on the entire skateboard is a custom airbrush, even this white. The white had worked well at that point. Came to the coins, in the original image they had sort of a gray kind of overlay on them, or tint. And so I decided to do that even bolder and in black around the coins because I did basically everything in black, and I just thought that it gave it, more definition and made it pop. So you can see that I gave that sort of black on the coins. And also when I outlined these coins in black, it also helped hide some of the bleeding that I had. Like this, the pants, you can see that it sort of bled with the ink. To be honest, the coins were really hard, and I don't know why the coins were hard. They should have been easy, but they were one of my hardest layers to do, maybe even the hardest, and they bled a lot, so that black definitely helped hide it. Now, if you're wondering why this section of the board here is darker, this section is darker, and this whole middle area is lighter, to be honest, that was completely a mistake. This is what happened. When I put my brown layer down, I put it down and placed it. So I had the brown layer on top just like this, and I was spraying across, and I didn't mark off as much as I should. The tape ended right here, and the tape ended right here of where I taped it off. And so because I didn't tape off these sections of the board as I was airbrushing my brown on, as I came across, I got overspray with brown ink. And so it made basically a thin layer of brown on this entire side, and a thin layer of brown on this entire side, darkening the sky. And although it was by accident, in the end I actually really like that happened, because it looks like the whole middle is just framed in now. You see how as soon as you look at it you see the middle, and it's just sort of framed in by these lines. So even though that was an accident, I actually like that happened. Okay guys, so that basically concludes part 1 of this video. In part 2 you're going to see me go into even more detail and depth, and that's going to be where you see the end of the video and a final overview of everything I have done and explain how long it took and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for next part coming out soon.